Hey crafters, today we are going to make a pocket card, but I'm going to show you the difference that layering makes on your card. Let's do this. Like I say, the first thing you always need to do is select your paper, and it's called Mediterranean Blues. Now on this particular card, you want to make sure that the paper you select, you also like the back side of it, because we are going to flip one side of it to create the pocket. So let's get busy. Go ahead and create a top fold card. Now this top fold card is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. But I want to remind you, all the measurements and supplies are going to be listed over on our website, Creative Moments by G, my blog. And welcome to today's tutorial. I'm G, and Maudie, my sister, and I are on this crafting journey together, and we are so excited to bring you this card. We think you're really going to like it. Now, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and create a few mats. Now, the mat on the inside is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. Now, you can decorate this, you can stamp it, and I would always recommend to stamp it before you put it down in your card, just in case you have an uh-oh. So we're going to bring in a piece of paper. I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy. So tap, tap, tap. And look at that beautiful font. Just love that font. Now, let's go ahead and lay down our mat on the inside of our card. Now, on the outside of our card, to create our pocket, we're going to go ahead and double mat it. Now, we are bringing in some pumpkin pie or some orange cardstock, and then we are going to have another mat of just white. So let's cut this down to our first mat, which we know is 5 1/4 by 4. Now, this pocket card is so quick and easy, but you're going to see the difference that the layers make when we add it to the note card. So let's go ahead and use our glue and get this added to the front of our card. And now this is our second mat, and that's just a little bit smaller, and it comes in at 3 3/4 by 5. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and cut our pocket that we're going to use. So I have cut a piece of patterned paper, and this patterned paper is 3 by 3 3/4. Now, if it's directional, you want to pay attention to that. And you want your column to be 3. That's the way I think about it, so that it creates the up and down of your mat. So we have this at 3 by 3 3/4. And now we are going to cut it from the right corner to the left bottom corner. So go ahead and bring in your trimmer, add your right corner and your bottom left corner into the canal. And remember, because this is patterned paper, it's thinner than cardstock. So you want to start cutting like right in the center of your patterned paper, and that way you don't crumple your edges right here. Now, let's take this white mat. This is the smaller mat. And then you just decide which do you want on the front. Notice how I just flipped it. Look how pretty that is. I just flipped these triangles. Let's do that again. Here we have it. Put this one down and just flip it. And now you can just decide, do you want the oranges on top, or do you want this beautiful blue? Now, because I'm going to have some oranges on my little note card that's going to go right there, I'm going to go ahead and bring my blue and have it be on top. Now, another tip for this pocket card. You do not put tape tear-in tape on the slant that you cut. You only put it on the straight edges that you did not cut. So that just helps you remember. And I'm going to use 1/8 inch tear-in tape. Now, if you don't have that, not to worry, use glue. Just use a very thin bead of glue. So let's just go ahead and get that laid down. I like to push it with my fingernail. Turn it. And here we have our tear-in tape on the right side. Now, I want to take this triangle, I'm going to flip it over. We are not putting tear-in tape on the part that we cut, only on the straight edges. So let's go ahead and put our tear-in tape down. And now we're going to bring in our take your pick tool. You can use your fingernail, you can use whichever you want. Now remember, this one is going to be on top. So I'm going to do it last. Let's go ahead and take the tear-in tape off our triangle that's going to be on the bottom. Just going to stick it to the mat, making sure that we line up the edges. Now let's add this one. And I like to go ahead and get my bone folder out, and I just kind of put it right here on the pocket just to make sure that I can get my note card in there. So I just like to open it up just a little bit. Now we want to go ahead and stamp our message. We're going to put one right there because our card is going to go over this area right here. So let's bring in our Knight of Navy again. Tap, tap, tap. We're going to put it down here because our note card is going over this right here. So we will be adding this to the front of our card. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, super easy. Now all we need to do is create a little note card. And here is our note card. You're going to find the measurements over on creativemomentsbyg.com. We are going to add just a stamp on this one so that you can see the difference that the layering makes. So we're going to bring in our nice big stamp of our oranges. We're going to bring in our Knight of Navy. Tap, tap, tap. And we're just going to add a little bit of the oranges right to the top of that note card. Now all we need to do is color it. Or you might have a stamp that uses a two-stamp process and does the coloring for you. But let's just go ahead and get this colored. Okay, so here we've just added a stamp to the front of our note card. Now, you can just add this right to your mat, and this becomes your little note card that you're going to add to the front of your pocket. And there we have it. Super easy, quite pretty. We kept it simple. We used our markers to add the color to our stamped image. But what if we added a layer? And what if we let the patterned paper do the work for us? Let's take this out. Let's keep this one. And now let's take some of our pattern paper. Let's go ahead and use our dies, or if you don't have the dies, fussy cut it, right? And cut out that orange. Now we have the orange. We have another layer to add to our note card. So let's go ahead and get that added. Now what I want to do is, this is too large, so I'm going to cut this apart. And I'm going to add it on dimensionals just to give it another layer. And I'm going to add the orange to this second mat. So I cut it apart, and now I'm just going to place it just like this. But I want some leaves on there. Let's see how high we can put our leaves. We're going to put this about right here. So we know we can't put them very high, so they have to come down a little bit. Let's go ahead and cut this apart, make it a little smaller. And now I can add my leaves right there to the top of that note card. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to keep it right here, and I'm going to add it on some dimensionals to give it some additional height. This layering really makes it pop. So let's go ahead and put a few dimensionals right here. Now let's add this to the front of our mat. Now look at those layers. Just made it pop. And we let the pattern paper do the work for us, but we were able to cut out the design, add it on dimensionals. So you can keep it simple, or you can jazz it up and add some images in layers to make it really pop. So let's look at that. We're just going to slip this in. And look at that. Look at that beautiful card. When you take it out, you have a message stamped behind it. It's a top fold. You open it up, you have a message on the inside. A really quick card, and even if you decide to jazz it up with some layers, it's still quick to do that. Now remember, stay with us because I have a couple other designs that you might really like. So our next card that we're going to make, we're going to use Spotlight on Nature, this beautiful flower and this butterfly. We're using the sentiment from Cheerful Daisies and also from Softly Sophisticated. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, grab that top fold card, and we're going to go ahead and just add our mat on the inside, and we're going to not stamp it this time. We're just going to leave it blank. But you can certainly decorate the inside with one of the beautiful flowers that we're going to use. Now let's go ahead and create the front of our pocket card. We know that we need 2 mats, so let's go ahead and get those attached to the front of our card. We're going to attach the first mat. We are not going to attach the second mat because we're going to do something really cool with a ribbon. Now, the next thing, grab your coordinating paper. And we like the front and the back of this. Look at this. Look how pretty that is. But you can grab any pattern paper that you want. But like I said, it really helps on the scraps that you're creating if you pick a pattern paper that you like the front and the back of. So we went ahead and cut this to the correct measurement. And now we're going to bring it in. And remember, on this, we're going to cut from the right-hand corner to the bottom left-hand corner. We're placing those corners in the canal of our trimmer, and then we're going to place our cutting blade somewhere in the middle of our pattern paper. Because remember, we don't want to crumple our edges. We're going to bring in our mat, and we are just flipping it so that we have the colors that we want. And I think I like it with this one on top. It gives it just a little more coloring. So let's bring in our tear and tape. This one goes on the bottom, so let's do it first. Remember my tip, you do not put any tear and tape on this slope or on the part that you cut. You only put it on the edges that you did not cut. We're going to bring in our Take Your Pick tool. Just take off that tear and tape. We're going to lay it down right on our mat, making sure those edges match up. I'm just going to flip this over. Once again, we are only adding tear and tape to those straight edges, not the slope that we cut. And now we're going to stamp our message right there. We know exactly now where we can stamp it so that you can't see it once you add that note card. Now we're going to do something a little special to this one. We're going to bring in some beautiful ribbon that matches, and we're just going to put it right here on this side. Now, what we want to do is go ahead and turn it over, and we're just going to grab us a good pair of scissors. Put a little bit of tape right there on both sides. And we're going to make sure that we have it lined up right where we want it on the front. I already have that tape. And just look at that, so pretty. But we're not done yet. Let's take a little piece of ribbon. Instead of a bow, let's just tie a little knot. And that is my cheater's bow. I think it looks just darling. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and lay this down. Now, remember, on our other one, we laid it flat. On this one, I think we'll add it as just a raised layer, just to make it pop just a little bit more. And that is the simplest way to add some depth to your card. Go ahead and just add some dimensionals to one of your mats and pop it up. Now look at that. It already looks pretty. It's popped up just a little bit. But remember, this is a pocket card, so we need to go ahead and create our pocket card, right? Well, we have our card already cut, and now we just need to decide what are we going to do. You can stamp the image just like I did before, just flat, keep it simple, or you can add some layers. And we have a leaf, we have a beautiful butterfly, and we also have this flower that we're going to go ahead and color. So let's bring in our paper so we don't get our design space messy. Let's bring in all our colors and let's just see what we need. Let's go ahead and do our leaves first. And you can do this very quickly. You can get very detailed if you want. You can do shading. But let's just keep it simple. Now remember, you do your image on this second mat on your note card. We need to decide how high we can go on our note card. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in, and this will let me know exactly where I can put. Can't go past this top of this card. Let's go ahead and add some glue to this. I'm going to add some tape from the tape runner. so I can get it exactly where I want it. We need to make sure and not go over. That's why I'm adding it right here inside the pocket card. I'm going to put my butterfly right here, kind of on the flower. Now, because I created our layers right here inside the pocket card, I know that I'm not going above the card or to the left of the card. So now I can pull it out. I can go ahead and stamp a message right there. Now I'm going to add this to my base card. And I'm going to use some wet glue because I want to be able to wiggle it just in case I need to. I'm just making sure we have the same margin, top to bottom, left to right. And look at the layers that we added. It just makes it pop and gives it that 3D element. And it really didn't take much effort at all, right? So now we just slide this in. We have our second pocket card. So easy to create. You open it up. You have plenty of room to write. These layers just gave it that added 3D dimension that really makes it pop. And this cute little ribbon was so easy to add. Now, I showed you this one earlier. Look at this. You take it out and look at that beautiful thank you that we have. So pretty. We added those stamped images. We added that as a layer, but we just added them with some tape. So it's very flat, but so pretty. And then you open it up and we stamp some images and we cut them out as well. And finally, we have this bird. Now look at this. We have our pocket right here. This is the front and this is the back side of the patterned paper. I think it really adds to the beauty of it to have these two different designs. You pull out the card, you have a thank you, and look at the layered image. We just cut that out of the patterned paper and added it on some dimensionals. But adding those layers really made it pop, and it wasn't difficult to do. And then I used the stamp on the inside, used my blends, and gave it some coloring. We'll take a moment and leave a comment. Which is your favorite? What do you think about this pocket card and the layers that you can add to make it really pop? And it's not hard. Well, we certainly appreciate you spending your time with us. Maudie and I love this pocket card, and we love how the layers just add to your card and make it pop. Well, we hope you were inspired by this video and that you take a moment to subscribe, like, and share our video. It's free to support us, and we certainly appreciate it. Well, until next time, Maudie and I hope your days are filled with creative moments. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.